How do you defend yourself against an enemy who you are powerless to stop? An enemy with so much weaponry and firepower that you have no hope of defeating? You need to have the capability yourself to destroy them in turn. This was the game we've been playing for almost a century, mutually assured destruction. However, this isn't the easiest strategy to use to defend yourself, mainly because you have to ensure that you could destroy them even if you're under an atomic rain. If the Soviets are coming at you with bombs and missiles, having your nukes in a shed won't do much good. To ensure the destruction of the Russians too, you have to somehow guarantee that you can get your nukes over to Russia no matter how hard they try to stop you. Otherwise, there's no motivation for them not to attack you, and your deterrent is as effective as your nukes will be. The solution to this problem was the invention of the nuclear triad, the combined nuclear forces of nuclear weapon-armed nations which act as their deterrent against enemy attack. The triad consists of 3 legs, or systems of nuclear weapons delivery. In order of invention, they are the bombers, the missiles, and the submarines. And this is referring to ballistic missile submarines, not submarines in general. Those have been around since the Civil War. Each leg has its own advantages and disadvantages, and thus only together can they constitute a holistic assurance of your enemy's utter annihilation. The first leg are the bombers, the first method we ever had of delivering nuclear bombs. Bombers are definitely the most cost-effective way to deliver nukes, because a single plane can sometimes carry up to 20 individual bombs. So compared to submarines or missiles, bombers have the advantage of numbers. A bomber fleet like the one operated by America's Strategic Air Command during the Cold War had enough bombers and bombs to attack over 10,000 targets in the Soviet Union if necessary. The problem is that bombers are the weakest way to deliver them. Bombers are slow, and the easiest to destroy compared to the other legs of the triad. A bomber attack would mean flying hundreds of bombers for hours towards the Soviet Union, and then having to fly through enemy fighters and surface-to-air missiles to try and make it to their targets. This means that when attacking with bombers, the goal is that you have so many coming in that a few are bound to make it through the enemy air defenses, and only a few bombers can deliver a few hundred nuclear bombs, making a bomber attack still fairly effective despite heavy losses. The second leg of the triad are the missiles, and their biggest advantage is that they're fast. If the Russians decide to attack us, it can take hours to scramble the bombers and get them ready to fight. More than enough time for a bunch of Russian missiles to destroy all of America's bases and ground the Air Force. But missiles have a fast response time. Once the order to launch is given, missiles can be in the air within minutes and impact the Soviet Union within the hour. The biggest disadvantage of missiles is that they are costly. Missiles can only carry a single warhead at a time, so 1,000 nuclear weapons would take 1,000 missiles, while only perhaps 50 bombers. But the speed of the weapons delivery is what gives them their advantage. They are also not the hardiest of attack methods. Missiles are stored generally in bunkers called silos, but the bunkers must break the surface as the missiles must obviously have a method of egress. While silos are designed to be tough, it's very likely that if hit by Russian nuclear bombs, the weapons inside would become inoperable, rendering them useless as a deterrent. The third leg of the triad are the submarines, the hardiest of all the nuclear defenses. Submarines are smallest in number compared to land-based missiles or bombers, and have a response time almost as fast as land-based ballistic missiles, since they're really just a fancy way to carry the missiles. But their advantage lies in their secrecy. Nuclear submarines are constantly roaming the waters of the world, remaining submerged to avoid detection from hostile nations. This means that if the Russians were to attack the United States, even if they managed to destroy all the missiles in their silos and stop the bombers before they reach Russian territory, unless they also eliminate the submarines, ballistic missiles may start flying out of the Arctic Sea and hit the USSR after America's already been destroyed, a weapon of pure vengeance guaranteeing victory will always come at a cost. Now, different countries focused on different aspects of these defenses. Generally, the United States had its strongest deterrent in its submarine force, while the Soviet Union concentrated most of its nuclear ordnance in land-based ballistic missiles. And as for the bombers, their role was somewhat sidelined in the mid-1970s onwards, as the USSR and the USA developed what were called MIRVs, or Multiple Independent Re-Entry Vehicles. This allowed for missiles in both submarines and land-based silos to carry up to 12 independently targetable nuclear warheads apiece, vastly increasing the efficiency of missiles and reducing the effectiveness of bombers, since bombers' main advantage was the number of weapons they could deliver. So there you have it. Bombers for the numbers, missiles for the speed, and submarines for the secrecy. Together, you have 3 ways of ensuring that anyone who tries to take you down will have to mull it over, since you've made their untimely demise all but assured.